today is it's going to be a two-way session. Okay, I'm not going to give pravachan. So I would like if a lot of you come up with questions. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, because okay. I'm audible, right? Okay, so I'm going to just share my screen with you. Can you see the screen? Can you see the PPT?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, what is a on-field sports physio, or what is your understanding of being a sports physio? Okay. So, being a sports physio is, I get approached by many young physios who are doing their internship, or maybe they are in their final years, or they are in initial days of their practice, and they want to become a sports physio. So what I would like to tell is sports physio is nothing but a physio who caters more towards sports injuries. Okay. However, the basics always remain the same. The fundamentals remain same. Somebody who is working in an orthopedic setup can also be a sports physio. It's just that our basics and fundamentals remain same. Only what changes is the way we probably assess, and the treatment outcomes, the treatment modalities that we use, and our approach towards rehabilitating somebody. Now that changes for a person who's going to be sitting in an office to a person who's a athlete, and for him his sport is his bread and butter. Okay, so that's the basic difference between non-sports physio and a sports physio. All physios can become sports physios. Okay, so it's a nice rosy world. Most of the physios think it is, but there's a lot of hard work, and I'm sure all the physios are one of the most hardworking crowds ever. So just to give you a brief, I graduated in 2008 from KLS Institute of Physiotherapy, Belgaum, under mentorship of Khatri sir. And to be very honest, I had one of the best clinical experiences in KLE. We had so many patients, and then I realized that, oh, I'm learning more from treating and assessing my patients than from the books. Because books do give us knowledge. They give us knowledge that we understand, but when you actually go into a clinic, do your own assessments, put your clinical reasoning into it, that is something that you will remember for a long period of time. Okay, so one essential part of being a sports physio is lots and lots of clinical assessments, reasoning, and hands-on approach. Just to give you a brief, after I graduated from KIPT in Belgaum, I got married. I came to a different state, different town altogether. And then I cracked an interview for my local state cricket association, which is Baroda Cricket. Baroda Cricket is famous for Irfan, Hardik, Krunal, and all those guys. So while working for Baroda Cricket, they liked my work, so they sent me to the National Cricket Academy, which is in Bangalore, and there they conducted exams for physios. I cleared the exam, and then I went on to I started getting posted for zonal camps to start with. So there is a hierarchy. So I work with the zonal camps with the zonal cricketers who represent their state. Some of them get selected into the national camp, like 15 get selected from all over India, 15 from the Indian team. They come to the national camp. So there I started catering, assessing, treating our national athletes. And from 12 to 15 and a half, I was exclusively working with the national women's team and the BCCI. And then 2015 and 16, I joined Sri Lanka Cricket because it was a completely different role altogether. So we will know what an academy setup and what an on-field physio is further into our talk today. So working with Indian team was great. We achieved some milestones. This picture you see is from England, and we beat England in England on 15th of August 2014 in one of the first test match in a long time. So this picture is from that win, which I absolutely cherish. This is from Lord's balcony, again beating England in England. So that was a completely different feeling altogether. See, sports takes you to places, but we are not tourists. So basically, you will be working even if you will be traveling to all the nice locations. You are basically working all 24/7. So now I work for this lady in blue. Her name is Vinesh Fogart. She's currently world number 2 wrestler, and she's qualified for Olympics, Tokyo Olympics, to be held next year in Japan. And we are working with her for her. Let's see what's in store. So coming to the scope of work, okay, what happens as a sports physio is sports physios work exclusively with athletes. Okay, so there are two types of work areas that we look at. We have a physio who travels with the team or with a single or a few athletes together, and there is another setup which is called an academy setup. Okay, so now academy setup is basically like your place where you can train, when you can do your rehab and everything. It's a setup where it's a 9 to 5. Okay, you will be there with your athlete, you have all the time, you can assess, reassess, no pressures. There are athletes who are probably in initial recovery days, post surgeries and things like that. They will be basically, these are the athletes who are being treated and they're out of active sport. They are not playing at the moment, okay, or they have been rested due to their current injuries. So these athletes go to the academy and they get their rehab done there along with a physio. Another thing that most of us know is the physio who travels with the team. The physio who travels with the team has to fit into multiple places. They have to fulfill multiple roles. As a on-field physio, we are the first point of contact for any sort of medical emergency because we are the professionals who have been through a medical college. We are professionally trained to handle injuries, and it's very important that we are updated with our advanced and basic life support. We should be in a situation where if we cannot help the situation, we should at least be in a position to send a correct referral, how to handle a panic situation. We've had, injuries never come with a warning. Somebody may just come with a twisted ankle that's facing backwards, and it's honestly not a great sight to watch. But at the same time, you will also have athletes who will come to you in middle of a game, say, okay, my knee is hurting, I can't bowl, but I have another 4 overs to bowl. And that bowler can be one of your most important bowlers. So here you are dealing with an injury which may not be completely putting them on rest or out of the game, but they're at the same time, the athlete is very important. Their role in the match, in the team, in the event is so important that they need to play. Okay, they might be needed on the ground for their expertise, for their thought process, for their thinking capacity, lot many things. What if the person cannot bowl, but he says, okay, fine, I want to be there on the field, setting the field, but I'm not going to bowl. So I am required there. I want to be there. I want to be at least fielding. So this is what mostly on-field physios have to deal with. They have to deal with athletes who may be injured but need to play. Sometimes you have to be prepared for anything from a heart attack, panic attack, head injury, fracture, dislocation, open wounds, anything. So in this kind of situation, the physio has to create an environment where we are addressing the situation, we are coming up with a solution. At the same time, we reduce the panic that happens in most of the cases. So a on-field sports physio's work starts right in the morning. What I would do is, if we were to leave for the ground at say 7:30 or 7 in the morning, I would tape some of my athletes who required shoulder, ankle taping, the extensive kind of taping. I would finish that off in our physio room at 6 a.m., 6:15 a.m. You get your physio stuff, go to the ground, be ready, do other sorts of taping, thoda idhar udhar, all those that sorts of things, and be on your toes throughout the match, because you can never really rest. You have to be on your toes. Somebody may get hurt, somebody may twist their ankle, we never know. And again, the sports physio's work doesn't really stop there. Once you're back to your room or to your hotel, then your rehab starts. Some of the players will say, oh, you know what, I'm really sore in my shoulder after throwing a lot. Can you have a look at it? Somebody will say, oh, I twisted my ankle. Can you have a look at it? It's not hurting too bad, but it is hurting. Okay. So what do we do of a situation where it's hurting, but it's not very badly hurting, right? So here comes our expertise. Okay. So here our clinical assessment is very important. Clinical assessment, reasoning behind it, why a problem is, why are we facing this problem, why the athlete is facing this problem. Is it biomechanical? Is it because the athlete has had an injury, they rolled over their ankle, they've been hit by a ball? We don't know. Okay, so we need to assess the severity of the injury, manage it. At the same time, we are also sort of managers, because we are the common link between our athletes, the coach, the trainer, the manager, the board, your sports board or a club. So we are somebody who's also keeping everybody in the loop of a realistic situation. Here sometimes we go beyond books, or when they say, oh, there is grade 1 sprain, we will take 3 weeks off. Boss, but tomorrow is World Cup final, how can I take 3 weeks off? Okay, so this is where an on-field physios have to assess the situation and take a call accordingly. Okay, this is the basic difference between being a sports physio in an academy setup and being a sports physio on the field. Okay, moving ahead. Yeah, as I said, on the field and off the field, we have something called as dope test. Have you all heard of something called as World Anti-Doping Agency, or dope test that they conduct, right? So an on-field physio not only looks after these accidents, rehabs, and everything, but they also have to assist in the dope test. Suppose one of your athletes is taking a medicine for whatever reasons, and that a physio's work is also to make sure that the athlete takes medicines that are permitted by the World Anti-Doping Agency. Okay, so that there are some medicines which have side effects which enhance the sports performance. So that is something we as a physio have to be very careful about. We should have full knowledge, and we should have an updated understanding of the changes in the WADA list of prohibited substances. For example, many cough syrups are banned for athlete actively in sports, because they are bronchodilators. Bronchodilators they increase your capacity to breathe better. So what they say is that there is direct relationship to your increased performance. So what are the next options? So we always have a team physician on call who knows the understanding of how sports medicine is taken care of, and they will prescribe them medicine. So when the dope test happens, you got to be there as a witness with your athlete, mention all the medicines that they are taking, and if there are therapeutic use exemption that has been filed by the athlete, in case they have to take medicines which are banned by WADA, but they are required as a life-saving medicine, then they are allowed, and there's a whole process to it. So this is called therapeutic use exemption. So the physio has to submit all these papers for the athlete. Otherwise, what will happen is, if the athlete is taking a medicine which physio has given and
મેડમ
nobody knows that it is
નિયતિમાં લેપટોપમાં લેવાના છો તમે પછી એટલે કાલ જેવું એટલે રેડી રહેજો પછી કાલની જેમ કનેક્શન લોસ ને એવું બધું થાય ને
can
તો
you
અત્યારે
hear me?
એકવાર જોઈ લઈએ.
Yes,
હા
ma'am.
હું એની જ વાત કરું અત્યારે તો બતાવશે પછી આફ્ટરનૂનમાં આવશે કે નહીં ખબર નહીં.
Can you hear me, Roshni?
Yes, ma'am.
Anak ke upar se.
So it's for the safety of the athlete that the physio needs to have understanding
लैपटॉप ने
of
क्या मोटा उड़ाया निकुल भाई?
हेलो
लैपटॉप
hello. Can we have the mic?
बीजेपी ये क्या? निकुल भाई ने
Please all mute your mic. So, ma'am, continue his lecture.
Okay, thank you guys. So a dope test is an integral part of a on-field physiotherapist. Okay, so you got to assist your athletes so that they are aware of what they are putting inside their body, whether it's medicine, food, or any sort of substances which may be harmful for their performance. Okay, and we got to be ready for any emergency situation. I had a situation where we had very senior athlete. She was over 30 years of age and she was trying to make a comeback. And she had a panic attack. She had an anxiety attack in the middle of the night and she had chest pain. We had to shift her. You know, it's a very scary situation for most people around them. And next day was our first World Cup match. So these are panic attacks and anxiety situations where we need to be prepared to take a call. Thankfully, we had manager who was taking care of a lot of things. We could refer her to the right doctor who could give her medicines, and she was fine the next day. We've had emergency situations where a gastritic attack in the middle of the night mimicked an anaphylactic shock. Okay, and we were in middle of nowhere. The first hospital near to us was about 20 kilometers. So yeah, we do face such situations when we are on field physios. So we got to be ready, and we need to be calm ourselves to take the right call and to refer your athlete to the right person. Okay, of the field physio. As I said, it's mainly an academy setup. The best thing about being academy physios is, yes, you have 9 to 5 job. You can, come to your office at 9 a.m., go back at 5, have your evening time with your family and everything, right? But the best thing is you are able to monitor your athlete. Suppose you have 10 athletes who are undergoing rehab, and your only focus is to look at those 10 athletes, what they're doing during the daytime, how much are they going to play, what is their rehab, how can we become better, how can we improve their rehab, improve their strength. So you are constantly monitoring them, whether they are able to do a particular exercise or whether they are able to do it correctly. If they are doing it well, can we make it more complex, can we move ahead in the next phase of our rehab. That's the best thing, it's a proper setup. We can have timely screenings for our athlete. Suppose I want to screen my athlete, my fast bowlers, for their lumbar spine. Now fast bowlers are quite often at risk of having lumbar stress fractures, especially those with mixed action. So most physios have their routine set up, they develop their own screening test which can be done easily to see which athlete may be in a high risk zone. We can monitor their workloads, which is a great thing that happens in an academy setup. And you can get them back to sports. Suppose your athlete is coming back after an injury, and now we need to transition them from just rehab to training, back to running, back to throwing, back to bowling. So how do we transition that? So that can happen in an academy setup with a team effort of you yourself as a physio, your athlete, your coach, and your strength and conditioning coach. So we all sit together, discuss what can the athlete do now that he was not able to do before, and how do we take it from there step by step. So academy setup usually do not you do not travel uh, with the team, but you definitely have a little bit of time to have your tea and chit chat and sit up in an office setup. So there are perks of both. If you like to work 24/7, great, on field is your thing. Then what has being a sports physio taught me? I've been in sports since 2009. To be very honest, I started as a pediatric physio, and then there was a shift, completely different shift. And I remember going back to our college as a guest lecturer many years back, and our pediatric professors were shocked. Neha, you were supposed to do pediatrics and you loved pediatrics. What happened? So it's a complete shift, but and I think it happened for a reason. So sports has taught me a lot of life lessons. I have never been an athlete throughout my childhood, but I think I could live up my sports dream through our work, which is really a nice thing to do. It teaches you patience. There are a lot of injuries where we see in the books, in the literature, they'll say it takes 4 weeks to heal, but sometimes they take really long time to heal, especially tendons, stress fractures in the bones. So it is all load related. The way we load it, that is how our tendons and bones react to it. So one thing that being a sports physio has taught me to have lots of patience. Different athletes have different understanding of their injuries. They have different priorities. For example, one athlete will have a priority, I just want to play World Cup. I don't want to do anything else. The other will say, okay, I'm fine on missing out few matches, but when I do get back to sports, I want to be playing for a longer time. Okay, some athletes look for a short-term solution. Some athletes say, okay, for me, longevity matters, my performance matters. Okay, so that has taught me to have a lot of patience. Another thing, very important, is timely diagnosis. Um, Timely diagnosis is very important, especially when we are looking at load-related injuries. For example, there is a stress fracture. Okay, so how do we know there is a stress fracture? Most x-rays do not pick up stress fractures, so we need to have either a very good quality MRI, a PET scan, things like that. So just a second, excuse me. Yeah, so timely diagnosis is an extremely important part of being a sports physio. If we diagnose the condition early, and if we know in what stage the injury is, whether it's in an acute stage, whether it's gone into a chronic stage, whether it's gone into acute on chronic, whether it's just inflammatory or it's very reactive, that changes our way in which we work. That will change our rehab plan for the athlete. That will change the strength and conditioning plan for the athlete. Okay, so it's very important to have a timely diagnosis. Next, I've put up some points. The importance of correct diagnosis. Clinical diagnosis is very important, because if we do not know what structure or what injury we are dealing with, we wouldn't be in an optimal position to design a rehab program, which is more targeted to the athlete. Now, I cannot treat a batsman, a wicket keeper, and a fast bowler in the same way, right? Sachin Tendulkar cannot bowl at 150 kilometers per hour, right? He used to be a fast bowler, but then he became a batsman, right? They have different needs when it comes to strength. They have different needs when it comes to performance. At the same time, if you look at two different sports, if I have a basketball player, he will require to jump higher, which means more vertically directed forces. Okay, our biomechanics and physics. Okay, that we have to think about. But at the same time, if I'm looking at a sprinter, they have to generate forces which are more horizontal in direction, because they have to run straight, right? So we cannot treat both the athletes in the same way. We have to think of the sport, the biomechanics. Sometimes injuries happen because of wrong biomechanics or wrong technical work from the athlete. Okay, so coming to diagnosis, we cannot box injuries. This is only tennis elbow, this is only stress fracture, this is rotator cuff injury. No, we need to point out which structure is involved. Yes, if the supraspinatus is involved, why is it involved? Is it because of muscular imbalance? Is it because of wrong technique? Is there a biceps tendon involvement? Is there a labral tear? Is there a labral injury? Is it happening because of wrong throwing, too much of throwing, not using proper mechanics, or is the athlete lacking basic strength, or what? Okay, so until unless we understand pathomechanics, okay, of an injury, we will be just treating it in a very recipe manner. If we want to get the best out of our athletes, we need to target the right kind of, we need to understand the pathomechanics of an injury and work on it accordingly. Next is called clinical reasoning. Clinical reasoning is why. Okay, why am I giving AP glide and not PA glide, or why not this glide? Okay, so we need to have a logical reasoning behind our exercise protocol, behind our rehab protocol. It's not because it's in books, okay, because it's somewhere on YouTube or internet or Instagram. No, you need to have an understanding of why certain things will work for an athlete as compared to the other method. Okay. Third, lateral thinking. Okay, so when you're on field, somebody gets injured, you start thinking laterally, you know, even when you're running on the ground, what if this is this, what if this is that? You start creating scenarios where, you know, okay, if he's not able to walk off the ground, definitely they're out, but he is able to run, jump a bit, sprint here and there, then let me think of how do I get them back. Okay, so there's lateral thinking that develops as you start working on the field. Persistence. Okay, you got to persist. Sometimes you may not really get results that you want out of a rehab program. Sometimes athletes suffer a lot from stress reactions in the shin. They have nagging back issues. They have nagging shoulder issues. Maybe the labral tear is really tiny. The doctor wants you to do work on a conservative management. No matter whatever strengthening you do, the athlete still has pain when they are throwing from a 50-yard or a 60-yard marker. So how do I get back to it? You know, what else can I do better? How should I overcome this challenge? So this is something that that you achieve out of relentless, persistent efforts, not just working, but also reading back and forth, looking at evidence-based practices. And failure, I have failed a lot of times. Okay, but it teaches you a lot of things. I'm like, okay, I did that, it did not work for me. I think I shouldn't do it in this case, but let me try something else. So it teaches you a lot of things. So guys, do not be scared of failing as long as you learn from it. Okay, if you fail and do the same mistake, doesn't make sense, right? So being a sports physio is being good with your clinicals, is being working towards making your clinicals better, understanding the pathomechanics. It's never too late to start. It's always great to get your hands on as many as shoulders as you want, as many as spines as you want. Just feel what it is. Okay, I have with sports physio, you cannot really carry electrotherapy things, so you look into a lot of different ways in adding your tools to your bag, to your expertise of how you can get your athletes. And having knowledge of strength and conditioning matters. It tells you how much to load a tendon. It tells you a lot of different things about how to get your athlete back. So I think I just got a message that we have some 10 minutes left, right? Roshni?
Yes, ma'am. 6 minutes.
Yeah, 6 minutes. So I don't think I will bore you all with my pravachan, but always strive for, always keep working hard. You know, it's never like we face roadblocks, to rukna hai. Nahi. Think how can
Neha,
I get better? Yes.
we can rejoin after the 6 minutes and you can continue
Oh,
for another 40 minutes. There won't be any
okay.
problem. Okay. Just you have to
Okay.
give the instruction to rejoin. Okay. Fine. Fine.
Sure.
Thank you.
Sure. Yeah, so guys, don't be worried of failure. As I said, I have failed myself so many times, and I may fail in the future also, but that teaches you lot of different things. One thing I wanted to discuss and I forgot. Uh yeah I remember, this was about 10 years back, and I redid the same assessment with a physio about 5 years back. There was a lot of difference. There's something called a SWOT analysis, and we should all do it as physios. Okay, and you got to be brutally honest with yourself, whether you are a sports physio or whether you are a neuro physio, any physio, any particular. Where am I lacking? I used to remember, okay, I'm not very great with cervical spine, but I'm doing this better, so let me focus on things that I'm better. But what if my athlete does come with acute wry neck, and how do I decide what to do? She needs to bat, or he needs to go and bowl. So yes, working on our weakness, you got to be brutally honest with yourself, how to work on the weakness, how I can make myself better, how I can be more productive to my athletes. Because as a sports physio, you are everything for the athletes. You are their mummy daddy sometimes. my tummy is hurting, I'm not feeling well, I'm scared, my shoe has come off, my things have gone down. So there were times when I actually had to tape the shoe, make cuts in the shoe. There were times when you go to the mess or to the hotel kitchen and you say, okay, I want this for my athlete. So you're filling into lot many roles. So it's very important that we are brutally honest with ourselves, and we have to cater to a lot of things as a sports physio. One thing I remember, and I cannot stress enough, the understanding of pain. I realized it only when my athletes were away and they wanted me to have a look at them. We had a session with one of the physios many years back, which I said I repeated. The session was only on assessment based on your subjective data, okay, of pain, to understand pain. So from you got to ask your athletes lot many questions. It's a very nice topic, and it helps you come to a provisional diagnosis. So as a sports physio, what I would like to say is the pain tells you a lot of different things. You can apply it in your clinics also. You can apply it in your ortho clinics also, in your ortho OPD. Understanding pain, how it works, tells you whether it's a tendon or whether it's the bone, whether it's a fascia, whether it's a ligament, whether it's a muscle, what has been involved. So understanding how a pain behaves matters. So reading about pain, how the irritability and the nature of pain, what we call it as sin levels, will also help you design a good rehab program. Whether we should keep our hands off or whether we should go aggressive in terms of treatment. And this is especially important when you're an on-field physio. For an off-the-field physio, you have time. Okay, fine. Yesterday's treatment made you a bit sore and probably we are not comfortable. We can back off. But an on-field physio does not really have that amount of time to give it to the athlete, or you may just have a match next day. So you got to be very sure of what we are doing. For that matter, understanding of pain and clinical assessment is the most important part of being an on-field physio. Okay? So I won't give too much of pravachan. I don't want kids to sleep on the other side of the screens. So if you have any questions, you can shoot them. Roshni, are we around?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So as I said, I won't pull it too much. If you guys have any questions, we can address them.
If anyone any question, please
Neha.
ask.
Yes.
I just want your opinion. Like, I just came across some of the students working in a place like, I didn't want to name, but Prakriti Sports in Andheri. And,
Okay.
what they said is like a patient has got tennis elbow, but then
Right.
start doing something like treadmill and other things.
Yes.
How do you justify these guys doing such kind of things?
Yeah, sir. So it's very important that you brought this up. As physios, as I keep telling physios, that it's very important that we have a clinical reasoning based treatment approach. Okay, why am I doing this? If there is a tennis elbow, look at the muscles involved or what stage it is and work on a tennis elbow. And it's also very important to understand goals of the person who's coming to see you. There are people who just come and say, oh, I have tennis elbow, but I also need to lose weight. Okay, so the physio has to make a choice whether what is the priority, whether we are here to make them lose weight, which is not our area of expertise. Our area of expertise to get them back to work on the ailment that we are working on. So there has to be a strong clinical reasoning, and we got to encourage it from day one itself. Why a certain treatment approach? If the treatment approach doesn't make sense, it needs